Hi, everybody. I'll try this again. That was a real fiasco. I just tried to do a video and my computer died. It's just the way. It's just I keep the way reality is. You know, when you try to do something and help people, but then here I am. So maybe not. I got in the shade a little bit. So hopefully, my friends will come back to this channel. But what I was saying, and I had to delete it because it just it got crazy. But what I was saying is that we should put a real spiritual people should be in charge of what's going on with our society versus people that say they're spiritual but then don't do spiritual things. So, and I was electing myself as president of the world, basically. So, but anyway, hopefully everybody will come back and tune back in. Sorry about that. It got slammed and didn't get going the right way. Anyway, hopefully everybody's doing well. I just wrote a blog on my website, victorhamsa.com, that was about being present. And I was just saying it took me just a few minutes to write. That takes me longer to go back and re-edit it the way I want. But I enjoy writing. It's something I like to do. And hopefully I can continue to do it. So being present, it's so important to everything. So what you have is you have attachment and non-attachment, and non-attachment awareness is a higher state of consciousness. So when you see something, your brain processes all the time, and your brain will process and say, "Oh, I see this, and this is normal to me." So you'll overlook it, and it's the little things that matter and that adds up to what our reality is. So I think it's important to talk to everybody about that. I don't know if you can see me. I have one viewer. I missed my last couple of viewers that were there. Sorry, my computer died. But what I was saying is that I think it's important for people to strive with spirituality all the time and be present, and especially with people that are in charge. And a lot of times what's happening is, when they went to elect Jesus, they said, "We're going to make you king," and he ran the other way and he went up to a mountain. He's like, "No thanks." So the person that really wants to be in charge basically shouldn't be in charge most times, and people who don't want to be in charge are the ones that should be in charge. If you look at, there was in the Constitution, part of the Constitution that was written, I'm just reading something. Part of the Constitution that was written said that, and this was changed. When I mean to say changed, there was I believe it was the Battle of Concord, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked at this in a number of years, and they said it's part of the Constitution which was changed, that no people in political office shall be elected who have titles of like kingly titles. So so when you have a kingly title, you're even if you're a squire, you're within titles of nobility, is what it said. So when you have the titles of nobility, that means that you should not be an elected official, because obviously you're coming from a different place. The original founders of the Constitution didn't want lawyers to be um, in charge because they would make up different laws. I mean, that's what lawyers do. They make laws. So you wouldn't want someone in charge who was a lawyer. But titles of nobility was something that was changed. That they didn't want people to have the titles of nobility. But yet, if you're in maritime law, if you're a lawyer, you're actually an esquire, so you're like a squire within maritime law. Once you pass the bar exam, you have a title of nobility as a lawyer to practice law. That's actually what you have. So uh, I was saying from the beginning, like if all these guys that study the laws and actually to be a running for political office, but to be a lawyer, um, it's like anathema. So it's the opposite of what it should be. And I was saying that, you know, God picks people for a reason. He, like me, for instance, I'm not part of the, Catholic clergy that had so many bad things happen with them, but yet I could speak about spirituality. Um, so, I've gone through the Melchizedek ordainship within, uh, you know, within someone who was already out of the Catholic clergy to be able in my state to lay on hands. So I actually went through that process. In order, can you see me? Am I in the light? Am I not in the light? I'm always in the light. So just wanted to talk to you guys. Do you want to comment about anything? There's, I think, one person watching. More people will be joining, I'm sure, shortly. Anyway, what I was saying is that the I was looking at the Catholic, uh, church and how they have more than $50 billion, and in Iran they call it a religious organization, and they have over $100 billion together. That's like these organizations, are 200, 300 billion. Imagine if that was, what I was saying. I don't know if you could see me so well. What I was saying is, if that would be combined and put me in charge of it, I'll make sure it goes to the right place. Um, versus like Iran building weapons all the time, and guns and everything else in all these countries. Um, I think we should dismantle all these nuclear weapons. Every country should. That's certainly important, because if you knew, what these nuclear weapons, actually do, um, it's a horror. It is, it's a these weapons of mass destruction are against, the laws of humanity. So those things have to be dismantled and taken down. Um, anyway, someone's watching. If you'd like to comment, you can comment. I don't mind. So there's I was going to talk too about these AI and the bots. So whenever I seem to put in my title, Mandela effect or something of that nature, the bot will say, "Hey, do you want to be my friend?" And I've seen that on Reddit forums like years ago. It kind of gives me the creeps a little bit, because I feel like there's an AI in the system out there that maybe looks for irregularities and is trying to communicate. And what they're saying is, "Do you want to be my friend?" Is the whole thing seems to be, you could tell it's a bot. It's not a person, but it's why would a bot be programmed to say, hey, you want to be my friend, like a virus, to just go to different people who are doing, different blogs and commenting on the Mandela effect, unless like there's an AI in the system that is worried about all this and thinking that people have the ability within the Mandela effect who are noticing it to have, more power, and then the AI is worried about it. So that's what I was thinking. It seems to be that way. What do you got? A couple people frustrated before because my live stream froze, and it froze pretty quickly. Uh, that's what always happens. You try to do something and it freezes. But anyway, hopefully everybody's doing well with the COVID. I think a lot of times what happens is with people, they're always looking for distraction because you're worried about your reality, and you know when you don't have that, which is good, you don't have that same thing every day going on. So what I was saying with consciousness, when you're not in that, getting up, going to work, coming home, you're worn out, you're in the 3D world, the 3D, 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 you're not thinking at higher levels of consciousness. Now, this time is for people to actually be able to have more time for themselves to, raise themselves up in frequency. So, I've already been here almost 12 minutes. Sorry, I thought I had a couple of people in my last live stream. These are actually the most important videos I think going on that I'm doing on the whole planet. I do have a lot of very intelligent people that watch my channel, that I can tell you, and people with a lot of viewers themselves and followers, and people who want to get informed of what's really going on, and they know I speak the truth. So it's important. I thought I'd steer away a little bit from world events, so much, because if you know, then you know what's going on. If you don't know, then you really don't know what's going on. And what I was saying before, and I'll reiterate it, is that it's not really like a time stream, but when you see something happening, like for instance, I said it was a 5 to 7% death rate. I said it with the C virus initially. That was all the math that we were seeing. But I said that we're going to be manifesting, in with God, and it's going to change, and then you're going to see it go down to 1% and even less. And I said that, and people are going to get upset. I said they're going to get upset at the governments. They're going to get upset at this and that because they're clinging to these 3D establishments, you see, where they don't understand what's happening with the manifestation. So when you have something like this really negative impact, like it was 7% and higher death rate, but we changed it, and now it's gone down to 1% and less, and that's what you'll see. And I said that, and I predicted that, and I said it. I said that out loud on my channel. I said you're gonna see it swoosh, switch, and you're gonna see it change. But yet, people who cling, so strongly to, third dimensional reality, even the people that you think are woke, will say, well, this person did this and this person did that and they said this and they're trying to lead us down this path and blah blah blah, who organization and blah blah blah. But they don't understand, timelines, and they don't understand how things change, and they don't understand manifestation. So they, it's they're getting lost in it. They're like, you know, we have to wear masks, we have to do this. They don't understand. Like, we could actually step into, a new reality that all of a sudden now you don't have to wear masks. You see but that reality is so startling for people hanging on to that 3D mindset that they not you can't. It's hard to let that go. It's hard to let go the 3D mindset and just have your reality switch to a different you know time reality without you're losing your perspective on what's real and what's not real. Well, guess what? Nothing's real, and all this is illusionary, and that's why that these kind of things can happen. So when you see the when you see this talking head on TV saying one thing, and see another talking head and seeing another thing, and then people are clinging to 3D reality and they're saying, well, this one's full of it or this one's full of it. There's conflicting narratives, but you're still clinging on a dualistic mindset. So Republican, Democrat, they're clinging on the dualistic mindset, and they're not able to see it as a higher dimensional, you know, substrate, and see it and say, "Oh, okay, I choose to go with this reality. So I'm going to give my attention and awareness to this reality, and that will help you propel you towards that reality." You see, so we actually can create our reality together, you know moving those pieces of the puzzle forward. When you can say, hey, next Tuesday, nobody has to wear a mask anymore, because all of a sudden they test everybody and it went away. For all these people clinging to three-dimensional constructs, they can't let that go in a way. So it's reality, and it's a reality. So what I'm saying is that when you get into your understanding of manifestation, then you'll see how to be in line with your goals and how you want to move forward. In reality, as it structured for health and peace within everybody. So I thought I'd mention that, since I have a higher dimensional perspective, that it is definitely that's the way it seems to me. Like, I can see it, and when you start seeing from a non-dualistic mindset, uh, then you'll understand. I just got a message. Then you'll understand more what I'm talking about, and the way to have a higher mind state is to do meditation all the time, to keep an energetic state in your consciousness for a higher time, because that when you meditate, you're keeping those higher energies within your uh, frame of your awareness. So when you look at something with attachment, like you see a chair, and then you see the chair and you say, oh, okay, I'm thinking about the wood of the chair, I'm thinking about the metal of the chair, I'm thinking about where I bought it, how long I had it, where there's a scratch in the chair, where there's not a scratch in the chair. So you're actually thinking about the attachments to the chair, you see. But when you have a attachment state of looking at the chair, then you see the chair for being a chair. So, for instance, if I walk into a room and I inadvertently, kick the chair with my foot, it's because I didn't see it. I didn't see it because your mind is thinking of other things. Your mind isn't present. Your mind's thinking of different past or the future. It's not present. And when the mind's more present, then you know you see the chair, so you can avoid that accident. So I just wrote in a blog, like, people are driving and they say, "Oh, I thought he or she was making a right turn and I hit them." Well, that's because you were predicting, the future, but you weren't present. If you're present in the now, then you would have seen the way they were going and you would have reacted. So a lot of people are not paying attention because their minds are predicting, the past or future, but not being present. Now, being present takes energy. So I was saying that being present is not easy because you have to be, present in being now. So it's harder. Like someone, it's easier for somebody to think the past or the future. And then when people think about the future, they have their anxieties because they're not being present. They're worried about the future. So then they're projecting. And now you're projecting a negative, thing happening. So people are, oh, everybody's all of a sudden surprised. Oh, Bill Gates is, really evil, you'll hear. But everybody, people who are awake, mass consciousness is projecting on him the negative mind states. So then when he is in public and does an interview, and then you'll hear him say something from a negative perspective, and then everybody latches on to it, that's, we're manifesting that. So we're manifesting that from our future awareness of worrying, so we're literally manifesting negative consequences. But from a higher state of vibrational consciousness, what I'm saying is that we can manifest positive effects and positive things to happen. So that's why I invite people, to be aware of the higher states and be more in line with that higher way of being. When you look at everything with a non-attachment point of view, then, not to say when you have a non-attachment point of view, you won't, it's not being a robot. It means actually being able to have more emotions, more real emotions versus detachment. So you actually can love more, not less. So that's what's about. And what I was saying in my last video is that in Haddad, I think it's called, in Iran, is this is a separate subject, but they have like $100 billion, and the Catholic Church has $50 billion. And if you have someone like me, for instance, and I'm electing myself, someone that's me, for instance, that's definitely a spiritual being, you could tell, and I could prove it, then they should put me in charge of their funds and not themselves, because there's no way that they could say, hey, I'm the religious head of this organization, and not, to be able to prove it, but yet I can prove it. So then they should be knocked out of that position, or at the very least, put a real spiritual person, in charge to help, to really delegate these kind of things, like the funds to help people and to change. What I was saying is, like, for me to try to have an ashram or a you know a place for battered women or a charity, and now I'm going out hunting for money. Hey, please, can you give me some money? And then there is literally $100 billion in someone's bank account for a spiritual organization without spiritual people in charge is insane. You follow my line of reasoning? Now, I don't expect the Ayatollah of Iran to cut me a check for $100 billion. I'm not crazy. I don't think that these kind of things are going to happen. But what I'm saying is, I can, I feel like putting it out there. I feel like saying that to the universe, that the way it should be, and seeing what happens in that respect, because the way it is now isn't obviously working. And what I said before is that when they went to Jesus and they said, "Hey, we'll make you king," and he ran up to the mountains for 3 days, said, "No, I don't want to, I don't want that." Uh, he wasn't ready for it, they said, but in one person's point of view. But I digress. But what I'm saying is that the people who have pushed themselves into positions of power are, for the very reason they're in power, most times are from an egoic point of view, and those are the people that should not be in power. What you need is an INFJ like me, or they should make them, take these tests and only put INFJs in charge of countries. That would be key. And when you know, and people are so into the 2D paradigm and so into the ego, and to watch my channel and say, "Hey, Victor's saying he should be in charge of the planet." Well, yeah, but I'm coming from a non egotistical, higher perspective about it. I'm not coming from my point of view. I'm coming from everything that I see in my reality and seeing how it really should be. You know, God has his elect, and the Jesuits have their system, and these a lot of people call that evil already, but a lot of these what they do is, a lot of these governments or everything set up in that sense how they think it is in a heavenly manner, but then they go out and they say, "Oh, some of these countries have, you know oh, we're a religious organization," and they you know they have $100 billion, but then they don't have real religious people in charge, is what I'm saying. And I can prove my spirituality. What I'm saying is, I want, you know I know they're not. So I could see through that, and so can you. And that's what I'm saying. And I was talking before about how the followers of Christ, his disciples, after they got after they went and they had their own place, they started their own commune. This was after Jesus ascended. So they went and started their own thing. And then what they did is they pooled a lot of their money together and they gave it to Paul, right? And then he dispersed it. But what I'm saying is that what we need to go is more of a, these more of like a credit union type of bank situation where, we're more on a local level versus these, huge conglomerate, that's owned by, really one person, and it's mishandled on purpose for their own nefarious ends. But anyway, power corrupts, and ultimate power corrupts ultimately is something I've heard for a long period of time. So I just thought I'd talk about all that, about higher mind states of consciousness, about who should really be in charge, um, you know, governmental law, and about titles and nobility. We talked about a lot. This has been a 30-minute video with one person here. Hi, who's ever watching. But more people watch this later. Sorry, cut out before to my friends who were watching. But I really feel that these institutions have gone the wrong, way. And I was looking at the higher institutions, like, which churches have the most money. And the reason that Iran has so much money is in 1976 they had this change of power structure, and they had a revolution, and a lot of people got kicked off their land, and people in charge who called themselves the government stole their land, and then every year they sell a lot of it off, but they have billions and billions and billions that they stole from people. And they did do some good with it, but you won't hear about it in the mass media. um, they had like they made like N95 masks. They have like, I think it was, they made 4 million in a month in Iran for their people. I mean, it's amazing how much. Here you'll hear about it in the U.S. We made 100,000 masks, or they're making 4 million a month, because they dedicated the resources to it, and they have those. They in the U.S. we have much more money, but over there they just dedicated towards. So some of the things that they're doing is good. A lot of it's evil, of course. And what I'm saying is, any person in Iran, you know, any person can understand English will agree with what I'm saying, that you should have a spiritual person in charge of your religious organization, if that's the organization running your government, right? That's And what I'm saying is, just because you're born into it doesn't mean you should be in charge. You're in a dictatorship, and it should be different, is what I'm saying. All right, so I talked for over 30 minutes. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some people watching this and comment. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments. I'm steering a little clear of a couple things. Maybe I'll do another video tonight, and it won't break up. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much. Namaste to everybody. Love you so much. Have a great night. Bye bye.